Hello, everybody, and welcome to the first episode of the Forefront Traders. This is, like I said, a first for Funding Frontier. And why this episode is so important is because this is where the team wants to get the best traders in the industry, not necessarily affiliated directly with Funding Frontier or trading with a firm, but rather guys that have a community, guys that are doing their things, and guys that are giving valuable insights to everyone, because this is what this show is about, and this is what the community is about: sharing, collaborating, learning, and growing together. Funding Frontier is a prop firm that helps you achieve your dreams, for all the dream chasers, the side hustlers, and of course, the aspirational traders. Today, we have this special guest. His name is Connor Wilson. And of course, we've got co-founder Kashif, who's in the house too. So without further ado, let me introduce the two of them. All right, gentlemen, we've got Kashif and Connor Wilson in the house. How you guys doing?
Doing good today, Claudio. Thank you for having me. Thank you, Kashif, for having me. Zane as well, the Funding Frontier team. It's a pleasure to be here.
Oh, thank you so much, Claudio, for having me.
No, it's an absolute pleasure. I mean, this is it's always an honor to have the co-founder and of course Connor Wilson, who, ladies and gentlemen, he's approaching 10,000 followers on Instagram with these trading tips and trading insights. Connor, before we move forward and before we dive into a little bit about yourself, what I want to ask you is it coming home finally?
I would like to think so. But I guess we'll just have to wait and see. I'm not the biggest football fan. I'm not fully up to date with it, but obviously I support the team and I would like to see it come home. So hopefully it is.
Okay. Well, we'll have to see what happens against the opposition that they are playing, Switzerland. I know they're quite a neutral side, Switzerland, but you can't be neutral with trading. And what we want to discuss with regards to you and your background, give the people listening a little bit of an introduction about who you are and how you got involved in trading.
Yeah, of course. Obviously, my name's Connor, as Claudio has said, also known as 10pipsdaily on Instagram. I have known about trading probably from late 2018 to 2019. I was introduced to it by a friend who showed me it. At that point, I didn't really understand it or take it very seriously. It was only kind of throughout COVID in 2020, going in towards 2021, mid 2021, where I actually started taking, trading seriously. That is sort of where I found out about it and the time scale that I've been trading. Ever since taking it, more seriously in around 2020, 2021, that's when I started seeing some profitability. I'm currently now just working on scaling up, compounding my accounts, potentially building up some funded accounts as well. I am funded 100k at the moment, only 100k. And we're just taking it from there and seeing how we're going to continue going.
Yeah, and I think you've put in a lot of work, as we mentioned. You are growing steadily within the social streets. Kashif, you obviously know a lot about Connor. What are your thoughts and insights in terms of things that you've learned from him?
Well, what I've learned from Connor, especially is discipline in his trading and the urge to not take overtrade. I've been following Connor I've started trading and started my page in 2021 with ForexStreet247, and that's when I came to know about 10 pips daily from Raja Bank's community, and I've been following Connor from 2 years and being seeing his results and the discipline. I really like that, and that's when me and Connor we start to get along. We used to trade the same strategy, but over time I dived on more into institutional way of trading, but that's I come to know about Connor.
And that's amazing. And this is why you've reached out and you finally got him here. So please, guys, don't be afraid to share some banter and just jump in. If you think something I'm saying is ridiculous, you guys can just speak over me, because you two are the two pros. And the question I want to ask about is, what is your current focus, Connor and Kashif, within trading and your trading status?
Well, for myself, my current focus, actually, before we get into that, I would just like to comment on what Kashif said. And, I've known Kashif for the longest time, like he says, ever since he started his Instagram page. We've been speaking back and forth now for years. And, over the past 3-4 months, seeing his progress is absolutely amazing. Massive well done to you, Kashif, for making that happen. That is amazing to see, man. You're doing really, really well, and I hope you keep that up. But yeah, to answer the question, my trading journey mainly has been with live funds. It's only now that I'm kind of diving into the prop firm industry. It has caught my eye over the past couple of months, Funding Frontier especially, offering great service as well. So, it's something that I'm definitely wanting to get into more. I'm hoping, like I say, I am funded 100K at the moment. Hoping to scale that up, with Funding Frontier and the current firm that I'm with, which is Funding Pips. And that is my plan, hopefully, get to a level where Kashif is at maybe with, maybe 500,000 in funds. That would be really nice. And to continue to scale and compound my live account at the same time. That is the goal for me at the moment.
And you, Kashif?
Well, I've started with rail funds, live funds, but over time, like when I got introduced about these prop firms, that's what I started to crack them up. Like in my start, like I failed a lot of challenges, but over time, like uh, through trial and errors, like I got to know like how you can manage the risk effectively to pass the challenges. And like now currently like I'm 400K in prop funding, and recently last month I've took like $41,000 in payouts, and my focus is to reach up to $1 million in funding, because uh, personally, like I think like prop trading right now in this space, like it's giving a lot of leverage to traders who have the skill. If you are profitable on a live account, on a small live account, $1,000, $2,000, that skill, like you can use that to leverage your capital in prop trading. And that's where my focus is right now, to get 1 million funding as soon as possible and keep nailing that $40,000 every month. That's my focus.
Yeah, I mean, you're fully right in what you're saying. The prop firm industry, it is really what's that word I'm looking for? It can be taken advantage of, by these people that don't have as much capital. When you have smaller capital, it's really difficult to scale that and compound it when you're trying to stick to real risk management parameters. When you are trading a live account and you don't have that much capital, I think a lot of people find it very, very easy to over risk, over trade, because they're obviously trying to make them bigger numbers. And that's something that the prop firms are doing great, because they are providing traders, undercapitalized traders, with more capital to trade, and they can, take a little bit of a step back and, work on the discipline at that point, because now that the capital's there, they can focus on, taking just that 1 to 2 trades a day. They can focus on not over trading. They can focus on not over leveraging. They can put the thoughts into other things.
Yeah, I think that's a great way of putting it. When you're explaining that, what I'm picturing is, seeing as we kicked off with England and coming home or not coming home potentially, it's almost like being a professional athlete, where having a funded account takes away that stress of worrying that you've got a personal stake, and you don't have to worry about being the trainer and the player. You can just focus on your trading because you've got that taken care of, and you can focus on how you can maximize the total amount. I think what's quite clear is that two of you are very, very focused. You guys do know each other. Before we kick off on the trading experience and the insights, have you mentioned that you guys have been in communication with each other, but do you guys ever speak about trades to each other and give each other insights and tips?
We definitely have done in the past. As of recently, I wouldn't say so much, because Kashif has been very, very busy, obviously, being an owner at Funding Frontier, having his own community, focusing on other things himself. We haven't been speaking as much recently. But, in the past, we used to share a lot of ideas, a lot of trade ideas. We used to have each other on the streams sometimes. And, we used to share a lot of ideas.
Kashif, you can just jump in.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can just jump in, don't be
like
shy.
he's speaking the truth. Like when like before like starting Funding Frontier, I was really busy like in my community, and we used to have live streams. Connor is still having live streams. He's running a massive community, and the discipline is really on, and he's still doing live streams. And we both used to have like do live streams, and sometimes we used to collaborate in between our communities, like where I used to be his guest, and sometimes he used to be my guest in my community and on my live stream. So those were like good old times. But we still do communicate, not sharing a lot of trading ideas, but we do share a lot of focuses, because we down on the same road. Our goals are the same, so we do interact with a lot of ideas. But trading wise, like as Connor said lately, like we're not been sharing too much.
Yeah, you haven't been. But I mean, how important is that, knowing there is someone else out there in this world who's going through the same sort of trench and plowing with the same sort of progress and goals, in terms of going, okay, cool, might not be speaking every day together, but there's someone else there that, if possible, I can lean on. And how important is it having a support system?
I would say it's incredibly important. Trading is, when you first get into it, it can be a very, very lonely game. There's not really anyone to lean on. But, I think it's very important to, find other people within the industry that, you can talk to, you can share your ideas. If you've got a little bit of a problem, you can say, well, this is happening. Do you have any advice for me? And you can kind of bounce off each other. Me and Kashif, we stay in contact and we talk a lot. It might not be about the trading ideas, but, even if there's just a story that I've put up or maybe that he's put up, we'll reply to each other, have a little bit of a talk, see how we're doing. And, that kind of keeps you in check, really, just understanding that other people are there. You can still talk. It doesn't always have to be about the trading.
Yeah,
Exactly.
Kashif, do you ever just message Connor and be like, hey, what's up? How's Leeds doing? Or not really?
How's Leeds doing?
Well, as I would say, well, as Connor said, like trading is really, really a lonely road. Like sometimes you need to have a support system. Sometimes you need to rely on someone, and having a friend like who's doing good, because trading is individually, like it's very difficult. Like sometimes you're gonna have a good days, sometimes you will be having bad trading days. So that's where like you need to reach out to a friend like who is doing good in trading and ask like, hey, what are you trading, like how's trading going for you, what are the trends in the market. So it's really, really important to, in trading, to have a team, or I would say like sort of friends like who are profitable, who share the same mindset. So like
Yeah.
it's really important to have a support system or a group of friends like who want the same road as you. It really helps you in trading.
Yeah, well, I mean, we both know that you guys are both successful in your trading. So the question that everyone wants to know listening is, how long did it take you to become consistently profitable for both of you, generally, over your whole journey?
For myself, around the 12 to 18 month mark, but that's once I started taking trading seriously. I think when people get into trading and, they're trying to make money, they're not very serious about it, myself included, in the time. And I think the reason for that is because, when you establish, when you incorporate money into anything, it's always going to be emotional decisions. And when you're trying to trade, it's so easy to place a buy, place a sell, to just kind of get involved with it. And I feel like when you are a beginner, it's very easy to just be doing well for a little bit and then have one bad day and the whole thing turn upside down.
Yeah.
So throughout the journey of becoming profitable, you're constantly finding yourself, you're constantly finding things out about yourself, getting more disciplined, learning about yourself, really putting in the effort to not overtrade. That might sound stupid, but a lot of people struggle with not overtrading. Looking at the charts, just thinking, oh, this is a buy, I'm going to take a buy. And
Yeah.
there it is, they've taken a trade. So, I would say realistically for myself, it took me about 12, 15, 18 months to actually see that long-term profitability where I was happy to say, you know what, I can actually do this now.
So then after those 18 months, is that where you finally decided, okay, look, I've put in 18 months of my time. I can take this even more seriously because you've seen proof in the pudding? Or is it just a decision that you're like, I'm really into this. I know pretty much how to manage my day to day plus doing this. And now I can actually take this and make it a long-term thing?
I think with trading, you're either passionate about it to a certain extent or you don't care for it that much, and that's where the taking it seriously comes into it.
Yeah.
If you don't have a love for it, then you're never going to take it completely seriously.
Yeah, and I suppose that makes sense. If you don't love anything, you naturally just going to dip your toe in the water
Yeah,
and then find the next pool to go swim in. How about you there, Kashif?
of course.
With regards
Well,
to how long it took you?
I think like where like trading to a new person like who hasn't ever traded, like it seems really easy, but I believe like there are
Mm-hmm.
stages in trading. Like you go through the technicals and you say like, okay, I've done the technicals, I have a strategy. Now I'm gonna jump into trading and that's gonna play out. But when you come into trading, that's where you start to know about the psychological side of trading. You start to know like what
Yeah.
human emotion errors you have in yourself, and that's the most difficult part in trading to get out of it, right? You'll have,
Yeah.
as Connor said, like whenever there's money involved in trading, there are always going to be emotions, and like you're going to overcome over trading. Then there's fear of missing out trades. Then they're closing the trades early.
Hmm.
There's
Hmm.
so many psychological things that you need to go through one by one before you comes towards the consistency point,
Yeah.
right? And consistency point is not even like your get through trading. Like then you need to find an edge in your system. You need to find a balance between your strategy and between your psychological self. Only then you will be able to find an edge in trading that's going to make you profitable. So for me, I started in 2016, into Forex, and 4 years was just for me, like learning. I was making money, but I was also losing money, right? Because of my emotional errors.
Hmm.
Then in 2021, when I started to focus on one strategy, which was Raja Bank's like SRC style, where you just like trade the candles, you wait for a structure to form, and then you let the candles go in one direction, and you trade those candles, right?
Yeah.
That's when like I started to find consistency in my trading. I'd be honest here, like I still wasn't that much profitable. I was just above break even level. I was making money,
Hmm.
but I was consistent. At least at that point, like I wasn't losing money from 2021 to 2023. And that's when like I developed like an intuitive level of trading where when I come to the charts, I would know like what's going to happen in the market, right?
Yeah.
And that's when like I started to learn about institutional side of trading from retail side. Moved towards institutional way of trading, like where you can say like SMC or order blocks and fair value gaps, and that literally gave me an edge to have a high risk to reward ratio in my trading. And that's when I became profitable. So it's I would say it's been a year. I'm profitable. I'm making money through prop firms, and yeah, it's going good now. But overall,
Oh,
like it took me like seven years to be profitable. So everyone out there like coming to trading, like either they are rushing into trading, or they're
yeah.
looking at other people progress and they're trying to rush it. And
Yeah.
one key in trading, like if you are coming to trading to make money, you're not gonna make money. You're always gonna make money
Hmm.
in trading, like if you're not chasing money and you're trusting the process. So there's a
Yeah.
saying like
Hmm.
if you don't need the money, then you come into trading. And
So,
that's
I
the
mean,
misconception. Like
you guys both gave some valuable bits of information there. But what I really want to understand is you spoke about the duration, people not taking it seriously. Obviously, there's mindset in trading where it's money that can be made quickly. And Kashif, you've just mentioned duration over 7 periods. And Connie, you said it took about 12 months for you to finally get into it and be like, okay, cool, now I can actually do something with this. What would you say should be step one for anyone that is potentially looking at going down the same routes you guys have gone down?
I think for people that are wanting to, find that profitability is they really need to learn about themselves. I personally believe that in order to be a disciplined trader, you have to be kind of disciplined in not just the trading, in all aspects of your life. So, it's as simple as, I'm going to bed at 10 o'clock tonight, you go to bed at 10 o'clock that night. The next day, I'm going to the gym at 12 o'clock, you go to the gym at 12 o'clock. In order to be a disciplined trader, I believe you need to live somewhat of a disciplined lifestyle. The main thing for aspiring traders and traders that are coming into it is you don't need to do anything right now. And what I mean by that is you don't need to trade today or tomorrow or the day after that. You can just sit on your hands. You can stay patient. You can observe. You can watch the charts and actually focus on gaining that knowledge, understanding what it is that you're trying to trade, how you're going to trade it, and how the market moves. I would always recommend to people that are just starting trading to only focus on one pair. I know you have some people that say 1 to 2 pairs, and 1 to 2 pairs is fine. But if you just focus on one, you are really going to learn how that pair moves at the times that you're trying to trade it. Sticking to the same trading times is also going to be very, very important. And for the newbies and the aspiring traders, like you say, I would avoid impulse entries in the beginning.
Mm. So then on that impulse entry, so you're saying to actually become a trader as opposed to someone that's just heard some news and saying, I'm going to make some quick money, put it into this thing as a long-term investor. You should find one pair or one particular thing that you're interested in and try and trade it on a daily and be consistent about it.
I think that, it depends on your approach, right? So, myself, I'm more of a scalper intraday trader where I'll let a position run for anywhere between 30 minutes to a whole day. And I just trade gold at the moment. I used to trade gold and GJ, but now it's just gold, just focusing on gold. Just focusing on gold has allowed me to understand how it moves during the sessions that I'm trading it. It has also allowed me to really focus on it. There's been times where you're kind of flicking between the two and you might miss something going on one pair. So just focusing on gold has been massive for me, really. And I think it just gives you more edge to focus on that one pair. You can really learn how it moves at the time that you're trying to trade, and it just makes it so much easier, in my opinion.
So step one for any newbie would be like, choose one thing to focus on, be disciplined in your rituals, and when you're going to be looking at the charts and trying to assess it. Would you say, you obviously said sculpting works for you. What would you say, like for most newbies or people coming in, they should try and do that because then they'll learn quicker through the 30-minute movements and 40-minute movements or lower time frames? Or should it be like, to your point, you don't have to rush into it and maybe play a bit more of a long-term game before you feel comfortable?
Yeah, that's a good question, to be honest with you. I feel like, it all depends on the life that you live in, whether you want to be a swing trader, an intraday trader, a scalper. It depends on how much chart time you have. If you have the ability to actually sit down at the charts for a good 2, 3, 4 hours and watch the chart, or if you'd rather, place a position based off some analysis and then, leave it for a few days. I think it depends on the lifestyle in terms of how you are trying to trade. But I would definitely say that, you do not need to rush the process. You don't need to start taking trades instantly. You can just watch it, get a feel for it, try and understand what's going on to a certain extent, before just rushing into it.
Yeah.
That is probably a big mistake that a lot of people make, myself included, back in the day.
But do you not think you learn quicker when you do rush into it and get your fingers burnt a little bit, but as opposed to like maybe just sitting on the sidelines?
I mean, it depends how quick we're talking about rushing into it. Because if you've already had maybe a month and you understand, what a candlestick is, then experience is good. Taking trades on, demo accounts is good. Getting that, like you say, a little bit of skin in the game. But at the same time, I think that the approach should be, let's chill out a little bit. Let's not rush. People have these really unrealistic expectations in Forex. And that's that, we can make, X amount of money, whatever it may be, stupid amount of money usually, in a year period. And it's just not realistic when you're first coming into it. It takes people years of going to university to become, a lawyer, a doctor, an engineer, these types of things. But I don't understand why people think that they can get into trading and then just instantly think, right, well, if, I've not made $100,000 in 6 months, then it's obviously a fake
Scam
or something like that.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So, having realistic expectations is going to be a massive benefit.
Right, that makes sense. Be realistic. I think, Kashif, from your side, we've obviously spoken about your 7-year degree becoming profitable after that. What I'm hearing a lot by Connor is trading can really suit your lifestyle and the type of character that you are. How is it currently fitting into your lifestyle, managing the business, doing the trading, plus then, managing your community?
Well, I think as Connor said, like trading really going to become like your outside life really have a big impact on your trading. If you're not disciplined in your personal life, if you don't have a discipline in your personal life, you're not going to make in trading. So that's really a big plus in trading. So like obviously if you discipline, like whatever else you're doing, like if you're running other businesses, like you can always have time for trading, and that's really going to help you out. And focus is really important, I would say, in trading. You need to stick to one pair, as Connor said, because trading is not like you come one day, you trade with one strategy, you trade with one emotions. Like you need to be really consistent with your strategy. It's just like knowing a person. If you know a person, like if you spent like a lot of time with a person, like 2-3 years, you're gonna know like what's gonna be his behavior, like if certain things are happening in the price section. So same is like with if you stick with one pair, one strategy, you're gonna know like what's gonna happen if you getting like certain indications from the price section. So
I think that's a great way to put it. If we're introducing gold as a person, Connor, you said obviously you're only focusing on gold. What would that person be for newbies if gold was the person?
Absolutely crazy in New York session. That's how I would describe gold. Absolutely crazy. Gold can be really tough for a beginner to trade because you have periods of time on gold where it's extremely volatile due to fundamentals, and you have periods of time where it can be quite rangy, maybe due to a bank holiday or not many fundamentals going on. Gold usually is so easy to trade in a trending market, but during them secondary phases of market structure, the pullback phases, a lot of people get burnt.
Okay, so newbies, make note of that. I think, Kashif, from what I want to understand here is obviously we've touched on many great things. With regards to the current state of trading in the prop industry specifically, as a co-founder of Funding Frontier, where do you think the industry is currently sitting? And then, Connor,
I
please
think
proceed in sharing your thoughts too.
I think
Of course.
the industry, prop industry, is still very very young. Many traders, they still don't know about prop firm and how they can leverage their skill to be funded. And what I've seen, like, there's a big shift happening. Like, a lot of guys, like, who used to deposit like $100 in a live account in a live brokerage, they are tending to buy a prop firm challenge. They're preferring to buy a prop firm challenge because if you can make like 10-20% like on $100 account, that means you're profitable, that means you're consistent over a month. That $100, like, if you buy a prop firm challenge, like, eventually you can leverage that and get a like a 5%, 6%, which is like $500-$600 of a payout. And we at Funding Frontier, we have some traders like who are just like $10,000 funded, and they are on their 6-7 payouts. They like monthly taking out like $200-$300 easily, 2-3%. Whereas like if they would have a $100 account, 2-3% like would have been just like $30-$40. So I think like a lot of traders in this industry, like, they are taking a big shift from live trading, live brokerage, toward prop trading, and that's where I see the industry is still very young. There's still a lot of room for prop firms to improve, and uh, uh, like, I think like this space is here to stay and to grow. And it's, as I said, like, it's still really young, and there's still like a lot of marketing and work to go out there to reach to the new guys, to the new audience.
Yeah, from my point of view, I don't know too much about the whole funding industry, to be honest with you. So I wouldn't actually be able to give, massive, what's that word I'm looking for? Massive input there. But what I would say is, for the profitable, uncapitalized traders, I do think it is a brilliant route for them to go down. It's a no-brainer, really. Having access to funds that you cannot, have yourself, it is a no-brainer, really. But I think that the problem is that a lot of people as well, they see these ideas of, oh, I can become funded, 25K, 50K, 100K, whatever it may be,
Yeah.
and they take these challenges without actually being profitable in a way. I would always say to people, be profitable, try gain some sort of consistency, whether it's on a demo account or a live account, that's completely up to you, but try and gain some sort of consistency. Then it makes total sense to use the prop firms to your advantage and get funded, basically.
Oh, well, there we go. That's some valuable sort of tips there. Tons of nuggets. Yeah, go ahead, Connor. You wanted to add something else?
Yeah, I actually, we were speaking about as well advice for aspiring traders.
Yeah.
And just something that I really wanted to, that I kind of missed out, that I want to just quickly comment on right now is, what I see a lot of new people coming into my community doing is once they take a trade and they've been profitable for that day, just for the one day, they've made money that day, they will continue to look at the charts, right? That is such a terrible thing to do, in my opinion. If you have already taken a winning trade for the day, you are 90% ahead of the people that haven't done that. So once you have taken a winning trade, the chart gets shut down and you just move on to the next day. Having more chart time does not mean more profits. The less chart time, the better, really, in my opinion, because when you are watching the charts and you have this idea that you want to make money, you are going to talk yourself into seeing things, into saying this looks really good for a buy, into saying this looks really good for a sell. This is matching my criteria. You can kind of almost make it up in a way. So I would say that, just sticking to one session, really learning that session is going to be massively beneficial, and not being a chart addict.
Well, I love whenever we have guests on here. You guys always make it seem so easy and simple in terms of how you're giving this advice. But it's to that point you said, make your money, close the chart, move on, and don't get emotional by talking yourself into something. But in terms of managing that process, I'm going like, how do you stop yourself after you've won? You'd be like, oh shit, I got that right. I know what I'm doing now. And then you get carried away. Like, is that the discipline part creeping in again?
I think that's definitely the discipline part. What I was just speaking about then is all from experience, right? So I have taken trades and then continue to trade, lose all the profit that I've made that morning, and then give it all back, and then give them some more as well, and then you end the day negative. So I think there becomes a point in time really where you just say to yourself, like, enough's enough. I need to either take this seriously or it's just not going to happen. And it is kind of as simple as that, in my opinion. I hate to be that, like brief with it, but you're either going to take it seriously or you're not.
There we go. It's like studying for your exam. You can't expect to get an A if you're only doing it the night before, guys. Okay, so we're on the trading strategies.
Yeah, pretty much.
Kashif, briefly, if you got like 30 seconds to explain your trading strategy, and Connor, you do the same thing, can we hear those trading strategies so people can whip out their notebooks and notepads and write that down?
So
yeah, I mean, I'll go first. No, go ahead, Kashif, get the dance floor.
Okay, so my strategy is like, whenever I'm starting a session, like I rely on the 15-minute time frame, and I would just simply mark out the supply and demand zones, and I'll simply wait for the price to tap into those zones. Once the price taps into the 15-minute supply zone or demand zone, I jump down to the lower time frame, 5-minute, 1-minute time frame, to look for confirmations and confluences. And what are those? Like, it's candles starting to close, starting to drift away from the supply zone or demand zone. That's like where I get into the trade with having a stop loss below or above a supply demand zone. So that's like how I would word my strategy out.
I would, to put it in a nutshell, to try and make it 30 seconds long, my trading strategy is a mixture of what I would say price action, smart Raja concepts to a certain extent, and liquidity at the same time. They've all kind of been merged into one. How I go about trading is, again, I'll try to do this as quickly as possible, but I will start on the daily time frame. I will then pick a bias, which direction I want to trade in that day. That has been a massive thing for me because trading in one direction only has completely avoided overtrading. It's taken that out of the concept. The problem with overtrading is that you're always trying to buy, sell, buy, sell, buy, sell. If you're only trading in one direction, you can't change your bias. You're avoiding that taking buys, taking sells thing. So that's the first thing. I pick a bias. I then go down to, like the hourly time frame, start marking out my support and resistance levels. I wait for, ideally, because I trade London session, I wait for the Asian highs or the Asian lows to be taken, and then I will take a trade usually in the direction of my bias once that liquidity has been taken above or below the Asian highs or lows.
I think telling you to say that in 30 seconds for both of you is probably the wrong thing to do. Next time, we're going to have to get you to whip out your charts and let you go step by step. But you did mention something quite interesting there. You did say the smart Raja concept. So when we're talking about newbies and people coming into the game and copy trading and all the rest of it, what are your thoughts when we're looking at the smart money concepts versus smart Raja concepts versus retail trading concepts? Connor?
Personally, it's almost like there's a big war within the industry, which is better, which one should I do kind of thing. And, it makes me laugh really because I feel like it's almost designed in a way to divide the community. I think smart Raja concepts, you have to be an extremely talented and disciplined individual to just trade smart Raja concepts alone. That's from my experience personally. Smart Raja concepts, there seems to be a lot of impulse entries, which again, in order to be consistent with impulse entries, you need to be extremely disciplined and be able to pick your time and be trading in volume times. The way I trade, smart Raja concepts are embedded into that strategy, if you will, because I'm using support and resistance, potential breakout trades and fake out trades are on the cards for me. But at the same time, bringing some smart money concepts into my trading strategy with the liquidity concepts has been able to, give me a better trading strategy. So I would say to people that, smart money concepts versus smart Raja concepts versus retail trader concepts, have a look into all of them, really, and then you can mold your own strategy from that point, because I feel like that's exactly what I've done. Originally coming from Smart Raja concepts and, the whole market fluidity background, which helped me massively. And then, adding just them little bits and pieces from smart money concepts and liquidity, taking that into consideration, building one strategy from that.
Yeah.
That's how I managed to find my strategy.
And I think you've hit the nail on the head there, because every time we're interviewing someone, and our successful Funding Frontier traders that do make an appearance, they say something along the lines where they piece things together and they adjust a certain strategy that works according to their disciplines and their lifestyles, and they make it work for themselves. Kashif, from your perspective, what are the differences or the comparisons to the three different concepts?
Well, I would say smart Raja concepts, the building stone for new traders coming into trading, because smart Raja concepts like actually
100%.
teach you how a candle prints, what type of candles are there in the market, what is a range, what is a breakout. Like it tells you like what is price section, what is a trend. So if you don't have that basic level of price section and candlestick, like you're not gonna make into SMC at all, right? And like SMC more of kind of like is a way like where you don't rely on candles, where you rely on certain zones and key levels. That's the difference. But I would say like if you don't know about candles, if you don't know like how a candle is print, what type of candle is going to print, if you don't have the intuitive level of candle printing and visualization of price section, you're not going to make into SMC. And other than like all this beef going on in this industry, like SMC, smart project concept, retail trading, like strategy doesn't matter. It's the person, is the trader behind a strategy. Like if you're not disciplined, if you're an over trader, if you have FOMO, whatever strategy you are trading with, you're not gonna be a profitable. SMC, SRC, they're not gonna make you profitable. You gotta have to have confluences, and you gotta have to have a emotional balance and a strategic balance in your behavior when you're approaching the markets. That's what gives you an edge.
100%. And, going back to what you said there as well, Kashif, Smart Raja Concepts, it gives you the greatest insight on how to read candlesticks and just how price action moves, just raw price action before, you're adding your support and resistance, your supply and demand, whatever it may be, the style of trading that you're going down. Just to be able to read a naked chart. That's what Smart Raja Concepts did for me. And that allowed me to be really, really clear on the higher time frames. I say this to people all the time, whatever you know about price action on the lower time frame, you can apply that information to the higher time frame.
Yeah.
So what I tell people is when I'm choosing that bias for, the daily time frame, the direction I want to trade in that day, all I'm doing is looking at the daily time frame, picturing that it's a 30-minute time frame, and I'm anticipating where that next daily candle is going to go. From there, you go to your lower time frames, and that's how you build up your ideas and your confluences. And, I'm going to try and give a little bit of an example here. I'm not quite sure how well this is going to go. But, a big, let's say a setup, an A-star setup in my strategy is a fake out trade, basically. And let's say, for example, that the bias is bullish. I will have support maybe at the Asian lows. We will break below that support at the Asian lows. Price will do a fake out. It will grab the liquidity below the Asian lows. It will come back into the range. You'll get a candle closing back in the range. The next candle on the 15-minute time frame may wick down, flip bullish, and keep moving up. That's the fake out idea. Now, my entry there would be once the fake out is completed and the 15-minute or the 30-minute time frame has wicked down and flipped bullish, that would be my entry point. Whereas Kashif's entry point might be the exact same idea. We've taken the Asian lows, but he has an order block down there on the 1 minute. The 1 minute has tapped into that order block and then it's continued moving up. That 1 minute order block is just that 30-minute candle creating that wick down. I don't know if that makes any sense,
100%.
but all it is different terminology. That's all it is, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Smart money concepts, smart Raja concepts, retail traders. It's just people using different terminology. The skin of it, the core of it is all the same, in my opinion.
Yeah, and what I quite like about exactly how you guys have explained that is when we're discussing the candle wicks and we're discussing everything. In hindsight, we're talking about analogies. It's almost like a language that you need to learn first, and then find how you like speaking that language. Do you want to hang out with your boys and speak a bit more slang? Do you want to be in a different room and speak a bit higher English? And I think whatever the situation is, what I quite find is the evolution of that. And to your point of being adaptable and flexible according to your lifestyles, gentlemen, you both have communities. You both have people that follow you and come in and want to hear these insights. From your experience, and that's exactly what you both have tons of, is what are the common mistakes traders are making that you notice as a mentor?
The most common thing I see, and it's really painful as well, in the community sometimes, because I see a lot of these guys that have the skills, they have the ability, and they're able to take fantastic trades. And the problem that I see most of the time is over risking, over leveraging, and just that lack of patience. Just wanting to be in a trade there and then.
Mm-hmm.
I think that this is only something that you can get over by making that mistake, and almost in a way, repeatedly making that mistake to learn from it, to actually improve that. But that would be the biggest mistake that I see, is people over trading, people over leveraging, over risking, and like I was saying earlier, being chart addicts, just not being able to leave the chart alone once they've taken a winning trade, always wanting more and more and more, that FOMO, that greed.
Mm-hmm.
It's never usually chart technical based, let's say. It's usually always psychological problems, mindset, discipline, that kind of stuff. That's usually the problem that I see the most.
Yeah, and I think what's quite interesting about that is if you are jumping into it and you don't know how to read those languages, the pips and everything else that you were saying, you do go back to the fundamental aspect and does play with you psychologically because you don't have the tools equipped to know how to handle the situation. Like you said, trading up or trading down, you can make those trades as long as it's within your strategy if that's what you're looking for today. But if you don't know that's what you're looking for and you've bought at the wrong place or you've entered, found the worst entry point and it's coming down, all you're going to be thinking is, holy shit, what have I just done? And then you're going to be quite
Yeah,
bruised.
exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, I think a lot of people just rush into things. I mean, it's great to see the progress of people over the months, over the years. But I think definitely from like the newer people that come into the community that have only been there maybe 1, 2, 3 months, they're kind of in that period where they are over trading, they are over leveraging, they are over risking. They're in that period where it's make or break for them. It's going to be am I going to get over this, or is it going to defeat me, kind of thing? Because I do feel like 9 times out of 10, people's technical analysis and the chart work and their understanding can come along quite quickly. And, you do genuinely see that it's just the mindset side of things that a lot of people struggle with.
Yeah. And I think those are very key sort of points. Ladies and gentlemen, if you haven't made notes of that, over leveraging, not being patient enough and doing all those other things that Connor's just said, those are big no-nos. Kashif, from your side, within your community, what have been the successful things that your traders have done? And have they reached out to say, damn it, Kashif, thank you very much?
Well, I'll start with the drawbacks, because the biggest mistake like traders make, like coming to trading, like they jump from community to community. That's the biggest drawback. Like they'll come into one strategy and then they'll just spend like a month and they'll jump into another strategy, right? Like whatever mentorship, whatever like strategy you're gonna get, you always gonna get textbook examples, right? The mentor, it's gonna show you the blueprint. It's gonna get you like a textbook example. Hey, this is a candlestick. It's gonna make a bottom wick. It's gonna flip, and then the price is gonna go in one direction, right? But that doesn't mean like you start to just take that textbook example and start to go on the charts and try to find that. Like you have to backtest and you have to adopt that strategy and personalize it to according to your way of observation of the price action. That's really important, and that's where I feel like a lot of students, they lack in. They just like finish the mentorship and they don't put efforts and time into their back testing, right? Just want that blueprint, or I would say just like a holy grail after like getting into a mentorship to start making money. And there's no holy grail. Like once you get into a mentorship, you get to know about the strategy. It all comes down to your efforts into backtesting, your efforts into your psychology, your efforts into trying to avoid over trading, over risking, trying to find your human errors, like which you have in your personality. That's what's really important. A mentor's like, it's going to show you the way, it's going to show you like where you need to go, but a mentor is not going to pick, like hold your hand and like take you to your destination, right? You gotta have to put your efforts in.
Yeah, 100%. I feel like a lot of people, like you were just saying then, Kashif, a lot of people kind of expect that blueprint in a way. They just want to be able to copy 100% of everything. And that's the problem, is that, no matter who the individual is, or, the mentor is, or whatever it may be, you are going to see things just a little bit differently. You're never going to see things exactly the same. And I think a lot of people don't put the time in to actually get their edge in the market, if that makes sense. Like I was saying earlier about my strategy, for me personally, smart Raja concepts alone wasn't enough. But when I kind of expanded out a little bit and took the liquidity concepts and added that, I took the time out to actually develop my own strategy and to backtest and to find out what works for me. A lot of people aren't willing to actually do that, to try and find out what works for them. They need to play about and, actually backtest, like Kashif was saying, and not expect a blueprint really.
Yeah. I think, wow, guys, there's so much. Whoever's listening to this today, you guys are fortunate. I think it's super, super grateful to have you both on here. I think, what is the first thing when you open up your chart as traders, both of you? What is the first key indicator you look for on the day?
Well, for me, it's establishing that daily bias, because if I can't decide which direction that I'm going to trade in, then I won't be trading that day. If I'm not sure, I'll say it all the time. I sometimes look at the chart and just say, I'm not sure. And when that's the case, you just put it down and you don't do anything that day. A lot of people's problem is that they don't have the ability to do that. They'll try and force something and make it work. Now, usually, if we can find a daily bias, we can go to the lower time frames, we can do as technical analysis, as chart work, we can have the fundamentals in the back of his mind, and we can take trades based off that information. But when that's not clear, when we can't establish that daily bias, then there is really no trading for me. Without a daily bias, without having a clear understanding of which direction I'm wanting to trade in that day, then there is no trades.
Amazing. And you, Kashif?
As Connor said, for me, it's the same thing. Like when I come to the charts, like it's identifying like what direction the price is moving. So I would like personally start with a daily candle. If previous daily candle like closed bullish, like there's a higher probability that we have a bullish momentum from previous day and the price is just going to continue in a bullish direction. So like just by looking at the previous daily candle, you get a 70% probability of where the price is going to be headed. And then you can just simply go down on the lower time frame, mark out your structure. So for example, if like I'm just going to give it a rough example right here. If I come to the charts and I see like a previous daily candle close bullish, right? And I go on the lower time frame. Now I see the price sitting up at the top. So I would expect the current daily candle to make a bottom wick, right? And that bottom wick will be a higher low on the lower time frame. It will be a structure higher low on the lower time frame. That's like where I would wait for the price to form support and I would get into a buy trade, and eventually the current daily candle will leave a wick. It will flip bullish and continue to go in the bullish direction. So that's like the first thing like I look like when I come to the charts. Daily candle, how the candles they are printing, how the candles they are closing. Are they closing bullish? Are they closing bearish? And then you define like what direction you have the highest probability for the price action to go.
100%, man.
Very valuable, gentlemen. We're going to move into our last section of the show, and this is pretty much into the future and the plans. And the question I've got there, Connor, is live trading versus prop trading. Which one should you opt with and why?
Well, I think it's not that simple, really. It's really not that simple.
Damn it, Connor, that's not what this is meant to be. Black and white. People are making notes here, Connor. You can't just make things mishy. Come on.
I know. I think it really does depend on the individual. So, for example, if you are an undercapitalized individual, then it makes sense to go down the prop firm route and, try and take advantage of that. Maybe if you have personal capital, it makes more sense to use that. I think, the majority of retail traders are more than likely not going to have the personal capital to be able to see the gains that they're actually wanting to see.
Yeah.
Therefore, the prop firm route is probably the way to go. But the prop firm route is only the way to go once you have gained that consistency and that profitability. Otherwise, it's probably not going to work out.
Love that. Kashif, from your side.
Exactly. I would say the same. Like if you are not profitable on a live account, if you're not profitable on a $100 account, you cannot be profitable in prop trading. This thing, like if you cannot manage a $100 account with proper risk management, you'll never be able to manage a $100,000 prop firm account. Now there is a misconception between traders like, hey, like we having losing streaks because we have a smaller capital. They think like if they get access to a larger capital, they will be more profitable, they will have a more room. But they don't understand like once you have a bigger capital, a 1% loss like will be much higher, and it would have a much impact on your psychology. Like, I'm just going to give it a rough example. If you're trading $100 account, if you lose 1%, you'll be just down $10, right? Not a problem. $10, I'm
Yeah.
down $10. But if you're trading $100,000 account, if you're down 1%, that will be $1,000. So it will have a big impact on your emotional self. So if you're
Yeah.
not consistent with the live account, with the small account, if you're not able to manage your emotions on a live account, coming to prop trading, it can be quite difficult. You're going to fail a lot of challenges. So that's like where I would give my 2 cents. Like, if you want to come into prop trading, make sure like you are making a consistent money from live trading.
Yeah.
100%, man. Couldn't agree more.
And then on that note, from the live trading perspective, gentlemen, what are your future trading goals?
Well, my goals at the moment are kind of what I spoke about at the start of this. My goals are to continue to grow the Instagram audience, continue to grow the community. I really like having the community because in my community, I personally live stream every single day, Monday to Friday, London session. We trade together every day as a community.
Amazing.
This keeps me sharp,
Yeah.
and I love doing that. Basically, I won't stop doing that anytime soon because it kind of keeps me accountable. We can bounce ideas off each other. We take trades together. We understand what we're looking at. We're all looking at the same things. So continuing to grow that community for me is necessary because, like I was saying, it really helps me being on the live stream. It keeps me on my toes. I'm obviously wanting to grow, scale, compound my personal account, my live funds. Just receiving, getting funded myself 100k, looking to continue scaling that and to, receive a payout and, continue moving forward in that. We're just constantly, trying to evolve and get better and work on the self-development.
It's brilliant.
Uh,
Yeah.
Well, for me personally, like other than trading, like my focus like will be to create a lot of educational content, because after launching Funding Fairy, it's been like 6 months. I've stopped uploading educational content on my YouTube. I've stopped uploading backtesting videos on my YouTube. So that's like where I'll start picking up again. And along with that, like I'm going to push for 1 million in funding and make sure like I make a lot of educational content out of that. So people who are watching my stories, I make prop trading much more simpler and easier for them, because in prop trading, I think like a lot of traders, like they come from live trading, but they miss like a lot of psychological things in prop trading, like when you have to stop, when you have to lock up your payout, like these things are still missing. Like there's a big room for education in prop space, and we as Funding Frontier, we're making sure like to bring out that educational side of in this prop trading. Like I would mention it out, like we the first firm to interview all the influencers to get these communities together, so people out there who are looking at us, they could learn from all these influencers, the guys who are already making in this prop space or in live trading. And that's like the something like we doing like differently in this space.
Yeah, keep doing that thing differently. Gentlemen, this has been a great session. You have been incredible. I think for everyone who's watching this and they didn't quite understand everything that was being said, that's fine. You can always go join Connor in his live session or chat to Kashif in the Discord channel from Funding Frontier. Gentlemen, before you go, the last thing I ask of you, to sum up your advice in 5 points for people listening.
That's a tough one, putting me on the spot there. I would say, one, get a mentor. Doesn't matter who that mentor is, but once you get that mentor, stay consistent with that mentor. Don't be bouncing between mentors and, changing up ideas when something doesn't work or you have a bad day. 2, over-risking. 3, over-leveraging. 4, over-trading. And 5, don't be a chart addict.
I love that. Kashif?
Well, I would say when you come into trading, the number one thing, stop having that unrealistic expectations. You're going to see a lot of influencers showing you $50,000, $100,000. That's only there. These fake gurus only there to sell you courses, right? In real trading, like these $50,000 profit, these screenshots, like they're not the real case. So you gotta have to have realistic expectations. Second, like focus on your journey. You don't have to compare with anyone in trading. Stop following like a lot of these guys. Just like stick to 1 or 2 guys who are reliable on the social media. They are showing their profits. They are showing their losses. They're adding value to the community on a daily basis, stick to those guys. Third, I would say like focus on one strategy. As we said in this conversation, if you want to be profitable in trading, you gotta have to stick with one strategy. Know it as a person. Think of trading as your wife. Like you gotta have to understand its emotions to make it up with her, right?
Yeah.
Number fourth, like manage your risk effectively, right? In trading, if it's not about making $5,000 in a day then losing $5,000 the second day. It's about survivability. If you want to make in trading, just manage your risk in a certain way that you survive to trade the next day. It's just an arena, and you have to be defensive when the market is it's being choppy. You gotta have to be conservative. You gotta have to conserve your capital. When the market is showing you opportunities, you gotta have to be really aggressive and make sure you profit off from that. You leverage that opportunity when the market presents it to you. Number five, I would say be disciplined, be consistent, right? And the last point I would try to say, like, that really have a big
Oh, there's
impact
number
on
six. There's number six. Keep going. Keep going. I like the number six. Yes.
Okay, so the last thing I would add, which really benefited in my trading journey, other than all of these things, is having a life outside trading. If you want to be profitable trading, try to develop a life outside trading. Try to spend time with your family. Try to spend time. Try to dedicate time to gym or to other hobbies. Like in trading, a lot of these guys, they come into trading leaving their 9 to 5. They're leaving their 9 to 5 to come into trading to have that freedom of time, to have that freedom of money. But what's the point, like, if you're sticking to the charts, if you're over trading, if you're getting FOMO'd, if you're just getting stressed out, you take a loss and you keep watching the charts for the next 5 hours, you don't have that freedom of time. You can go back to your 9 to 5. So that's really important in trading. Like, have a life outside trading. You're only going to make money in trading when you don't need the money, when you're not chasing the money and you actually trusting the process and taking it as a hobby.
Yeah. Well said.
Yeah, I think we're gonna have to do a part 2 to this, guys, because we could go for so much longer with so many different questions, about risk management itself. We could talk for probably a good 20 minutes just about that. So we should run it back, do another one, I think, and have a different some different questions and things like that.
I agree completely. This has been a hell of a show. I mean, I've personally learned so much, and I think for everyone listening, to Connor's point, put your questions in the comment section. We will take the best questions, and we can have that part 2, and we can ask these two fine traders out here exactly what you have on your mind and things that you're struggling with. So I think that's a great segue into the part 2. Gentlemen, this has been amazing. Thank you so much for your time. Connor, this is the first episode. You two have done that. 4 fun traders. That's you two. Congrats.
No, I would like to, thank you, Kashif. Thank you, Zain, for having me. The team at Funding Frontier, yourself, Claudio, an amazing host. And it's been great.
Thank you so much, Connor, for joining up.
Yeah. So, and on that note, we just want to say, if you don't know what to be cool. Goodbye, everyone.
Take care, guys.
Take care.